For the thousands of people who know this place, it's memory time. Once the final indignity of the auction is over, part of the building will be pulled down. This morning the plates and the glasses, the knives and the forks and all the paraphernalia of a place like this awaited the auctioneer's hammer. It's all such a long way from the early days before the 1920s, when a Mr. Bowron built part of this place for his girlfriend who was a ballet dancer. A Mr. Nicol took it over in the 20s and the garden became a cabaret. Its long party had begun. Harold Bailey's orchestra became the Bailey Marston Orchestra in 1926, and later on the Brian Marston Orchestra moved in. Brian Marston remembers the garden as the #1 spot in Christchurch.
Most of the music was foxtrots and quick steps and old-time waltzes, Viennese waltzes, that sort of thing. It had atmosphere by the mere fact that it was a cabaret. The decor, the size of the place, with the revolving wall and the roof, all of these things made it something special.
I guess it really doesn't matter whether it was the 20s, the 40s or the 60s. It was always exciting coming to the Winter Garden. There was that special feeling of anticipation, especially, I suppose, if you were here with a brand new partner. In the early days, you could hold a dance here for 12 guineas, and you could have a wedding during the day for 2 guineas. It's quite extraordinary when you think about it. For most of the life of the Winter Garden, you couldn't buy alcohol on the premises. You had to smuggle it in if you wanted it. And also another regulation from this 1920s booklet: no motor cars are allowed to be parked in Armour Street or Madras Street during dance hours. And no dancers are allowed out into the street during dance hours and cannot pass out until they finally depart. The Winter Garden's sprung ballroom was the biggest in New Zealand. But by the 1960s, its heyday was past.
The world was settling down after the war, and the staff balls, and apart from the cabaret, the staff balls, of course, were the thing. And the Winter Garden, I would say, during the ball season, over the winter months, would be operating practically every night in the week.
Brian Reid managed the Winter Garden in the 60s and 70s. But it really did have an atmosphere, didn't it?
It did. I don't know if it's the low ceiling of the Winter Gardens that created the atmosphere. The ladies' frocks certainly did, with all the different colours. At night time, the building switched from an old building into a gay lady. It just got up and went with the mood. I could work 6 nights a week, and the stewards used to fight who was going to be on 6 nights a week.
On a Saturday night, you'd find in the paper advertisements for 40 different dances on a Saturday night in Christchurch and around. It's gradually faded away to the stage that, unfortunately, the Gardens as we knew it doesn't exist.